Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Inheritance Mine. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my inheritance? So, a bit of background. I was a big oops. My bio mom was a wealthy woman who apparently never wanted marriage or kids. She met my dad at a work event, same job type, different location, not sharing specifics for anonymity. And they started seeing each other casually for a few months, and then boom. Her pill, the condom, and the plan B all failed to stop me from existing. My mother was going to terminate her pregnancy, but my father begged her not to because he was actually married and was told his wife only had like a 1% chance of ever carrying a baby to term. She agreed, only on the stipulation that she can give me up. No visitation, no parenting, nothing but child support, and he and his wife reached an agreement and took me under the ruse she'd raise me as her biological daughter. Needless to say, I never met my bio mom, but it doesn't get any better for me from there. My stepmom actually ended up having a miracle baby about a year after I was born. A boy. My brother has never treated me any different and I love him dearly, but I could always tell I was never my parents' priority. I more or less just kind of existed to be seen, never heard, or never really acknowledged unless it was something for the family. When I turned 13, I got the opportunity to meet my bio grandma, mom's mom. She had no idea I existed and petitioned for visitation. I loved it so much with her that I asked if I could live with her. My dad and stepmom seemed happy to be rid of me and accepted. My bio mom never visited her mom anyway, a rift over her not settling down and having kids. Well, that was 6 years ago. My bio mom just died a month ago and surprisingly left everything she owned to me, with the stipulation that I go to school for business and better myself. According to a letter from her that the lawyer and trustee told me about. This is life-changing money. I'm talking I went from the lowest middle class, grandma left everything to me, but it wasn't a lot, just the house and a couple thousand, to a multi-millionaire. Now, my dad and stepmom are on my case to share the money. I have no idea how they found out as grandma passed last year. Right after I graduated, it was her dream to see me graduate and she had been sick for a few years. And the only person I talked to is my brother, but I never even told him. Apparently, they don't have the money to send him to an Ivy League school as they've always wanted, but money is no longer an object for me. I know they raised me for 13 years, but this money could really change my life. Am I the a-hole if I don't share it? Well, OP, the short answer is no, you wouldn't be the a-hole if you don't want to share it. That is your money, and let's face it, they don't deserve anything. Sure, they raised you for 13 years, but I'm pretty sure that if they could have gotten rid of you before that after their son was born, they would have. So on that note, no, absolutely not. You do not have to share your money with them. Now, taking into account that you say that you love your brother dearly and he has never treated you any differently, and also that money is no longer an object for you, maybe you could help him out, but leaving your parents out of the process. And what I mean by this is that if you do want to help him out, then you pay for the university. Don't pass the money to them for them to pay. You do it directly. And what do you guys think? What judgment would you give OP, or what would you do if you were in her shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Specialist Lunch 410 says, not the a-hole. It's your money. It doesn't matter how good or bad your relationship is with your parents or your brother. That money is rightfully yours. And since there is a stipulation to it, you will have earned it. If you feel like you want your brother to go to a better school, great. If you don't, that's fine too. No one is entitled to your money unless you have debts, and you need to make that clear to your parents, even if you do decide to help your brother. There are all sorts of people, from lottery winners to star athletes, who can attest to the fact that if you start giving your money to people who feel entitled to it, they will not stop until they bleed you dry. When they have taken everything from you and send you to the poorhouse, they will have nothing for you in return. If you do decide to help your brother, go to a lawyer first. Set up a trust that has the same kind of stipulations to it your inheritance did. He only gets it if he goes to a top flight school and he has to graduate. Make sure it's in his name and that your parents can't touch it. Again, this is your money. They are not entitled to a single penny of it, not even for the years when they raised you. If you don't want to give them any, just remember these people who are supposed to love you are putting their greed over your happiness. Emilius Returns says, not the a-hole. She was your mother, she left that money to you. Obviously, she did that for a reason. It's yours to do with what you want. Your father and stepmother seemed all too happy to toss you aside and let you become grandma's problem once they had your brother. And now they follow up that crappy parenting with sniffing around for your money? No, F that. If you want to help a family member out financially, that is your choice, but the choice is yours and yours alone. If you want to, for example, help your brother out, it's entirely up to you and your parents aren't entitled to you sharing with your brother. If you don't want to, you don't have to and shouldn't feel bad. Your brother wasn't your bio-mom's son. If you do decide to help your brother pay for school, do it via a trust or at least an account solely in his name. Don't let your parents have access to it. MC Dex X says, not the a-hole. There is often a subtle, or even not so subtle, line between what you are entitled to do and what would be morally right to do. But in this case, there's barely a line at all. The money is yours and nobody has the right to tell you what to do with it. My only caution would be to think about how withholding money might negatively impact relationships that you value. It sounds like you aren't close to your father or stepmother, so if they resent you not sharing, it doesn't sound like you'll be losing much if they hold a grudge. The exception to this might be your brother. If the inheritance is more money than you're likely to ever need, you might consider funding your brother's education directly. You have no legal or moral obligation to do so, but if you consider him to be your true brother and you genuinely love him, then it would be a nice thing to do. It's 100% up to you though. Additional information from OP's comments. My brother is the only one, aside from my grandma and a few close friends, that ever showed me any love. I was taken care of in a way of a roof over my head, food, and clothes. But I was hardly spoken to, never praised for any accomplishments, never celebrated my birthday, they didn't even attend my high school graduation. I merely existed. I was a band-aid solution for my stepmom's infertility. I was to be raised as hers, like my stepmom was to be my bio-mom, but all that changed when my brother was born. I can't remember a time of love and affection from them in my whole life. If not for my brother, I would have run away and I highly doubt they would have even cared. I made an appointment with the attorney and trustee handling my situation to see if I even could set up something like a trust with college money for my brother, but I won't just give them money. I've been reading the comments, I really have, and a lot of them tell me about some sort of fund I could set up that would go to his school only. And funny enough, I talked to my brother about this whole mess. He doesn't even want to go to an Ivy League school, he wants to go to art school, but dad and stepmom refuse to pay for it, saying it's a waste of time and of his talents. So now, I don't know why they want money if it's not for his schooling. For those of you wondering where my bio-mom got her fortune, from what I know, she was a very successful businesswoman and owned a couple of businesses overseas and several properties in the States. She also invested in Bitcoin when it first started. Also, I'm honestly not sure how my dad found out about my inheritance. My only guess is someone in his working community told him she died and he correctly assumed I got an inheritance from her. Okay, well, community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and shouldn't give a penny to her parents, but if she does want to help her brother, that's totally cool. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I'm not sure about the protocol of an update, but I have one. So, as I said in the comments, I made an appointment to see the lawyer and trustee handling my bio-mom's estate. The gist of the meeting ended with them telling me that how my mother wrote her will, in order for the inheritance to truly be mine, I have to go to business school. So I couldn't give money to my dad and stepmom even if I wanted to, which, thanks to all of you, I learned I have no moral obligation to do and won't be doing. Plus, I talked to my brother and he doesn't even want to go to an Ivy League school. He wants to go to art school and dad and stepmom refuse to pay for it. I offered to him that after I complete my business degree, which I'm going to do, I would be more than happy to pay for his art school. He graciously accepted, then told our dad, and it did not go well. They have threatened to disown him. They apparently want him to be a lawyer or doctor or something with a high salary so he can take care of them, I guess. Anyway, they had a massive blowout fight and he is now moving out of their house and into mine. While he is still in high school, he is technically 18 now, so I'm not sure if I'll get in trouble with the police, but I wasn't about to let my brother live on the streets. I've been driving him to and from school while still working until I can register for business school. Thank you to all who commented and offered advice. Wow, OP, this is a major twist. Your parents lost their miracle baby now and he's actually going to live with you. I think it's great that you want to help him out and it serves your parents' rights for being a-holes themselves. So OP, here's wishing you and your brother all the best in the upcoming future so that you can go to business school, finish it, and then help your brother out. And good riddance to your parents. Thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user Say No To Grow. Don't want to pay me what I'm worth and pay me months late consistently? Have fun losing your biggest client. This happened within the past 2 years. I'm an independent contractor in a creative artistic field. I run my own business and have for over a decade now. 8 years ago, a friend of mine recommended me to someone who basically does what I do, but also hires out other creatives to his clients. Let's call him Kevin. I submitted a sample of my work and he put me in his database. I landed a job through him for a very, very large corporation, a very well-known, excellent company. Of course, I was super thankful. I went on my first few jobs, which took place at the big company's local offices. It was fun, they were great. Kevin was the one who would submit the invoice. Big company paid him, then he paid me. However, I immediately noticed that I was getting paid like 3 or 4 and sometimes 5 months later. I would inquire to Kevin and he blamed the big company. I took his word for it, but it was really annoying and it disrupted cash flow for me quite a bit. I couldn't say anything to big company because technically they weren't my client, they were his client, and it's unprofessional. After a few sessions, he stopped arranging the schedule and left that to be between myself and big company. Fine, no biggie. Actually, easier that way. I knew he was being paid for each of my sessions. I made $100 per working hour. I assumed he made maybe like $25 or $50, considering he wasn't even coordinating the sessions and literally didn't even know when they were occurring. He literally did nothing but invoice them. I'd sent him session sheets afterwards so he could send invoices. He hardly ever responded. In order to get paid, I'd have to email him several times. It took up to 5 months to send me a check sometimes. One time, I had threatened to not attend sessions anymore because things were getting so bad. He promptly replied and paid me. I dealt with this for years. One day, someone from big company forwarded me an email chain that had some info on it that I wasn't supposed to see. I found out that for every hour I worked, Kevin made $200 and I made $100. This pissed me off so bad. Here I was doing all the work, even coordinating the sessions, and he was literally contributing nothing other than to sit back and not pay me on time. I found out many times that company actually did pay him and he would delay sending me my cut by months. Fast forward to the pandemic. In 2020, I could no longer go into big company because of lockdowns. I could still work for them, but like everyone else, I had to work from home and we'd use Zoom. But this meant I had to use my own studio as well as my own very expensive equipment. This is what I do with most clients and I usually charge more. So I reached out to Kevin and asked him if I could at least get paid $150 per hour instead of $100, considering I was now using my resources, which are expensive. He replied that it just wasn't in the budget, sorry. He didn't know that I knew he was making $200 for every $100 I made while he didn't do a damn thing except pay me late. and now I'm using my resources. He always spoke to me like I was some little kid, like I'm getting paid to mow his lawn or something. Very patronizing, like I'm a Girl Scout selling cookies. I don't know, it was weird. Next Zoom meeting with my client, project manager Scott and I have a discussion about Kevin. I tell him the issues I've had. I never spoke with this client about these issues before because it's unprofessional to speak with the end client about money matters, but this had gone too far. They said they'd received similar complaints from other creatives. They offered me a direct contract. We negotiated and I asked for $200 an hour. This saved them $100 an hour and I made $100 more. Remember, they were originally paying $300 an hour, $100 for me and $200 to worthless Kevin. It was a win-win. Since Kevin never had me sign a contract, there were no legal issues in doing this. We didn't tell Kevin and I officially began working directly with them. Every single creative follows suit. Kevin thought they just didn't have work coming in. Kevin lost the contract with this enormous company. When he came in to pick up some things at big company, he saw my name on a session sheet. He was like, "Oh, you have a session with OP today. She didn't tell me." They broke the news to him and told him all of his creatives are now working directly with big company. I asked Scott what Kevin's reaction was. He said he just stood there with a very confused, shocked look on his face. There was an awkward 10 seconds of silence and then he just walked out. In the meantime, I'm making way more money. I get paid on time, imagine that, and my workload has increased. I had my best year financially in 2021. Kevin lost because of greed. Bye, Kevin. Nicely done, OP. Just like you said, Kevin lost because of greed. Boo-hoo, Kevin. Thanks for sharing, OP. And now let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user FoolsErrand376. You'll honor the price. I have about 20 Canlight in my house. They were all incandescent. About 5 years ago, Home Depot had a sale on Cree LED bulbs. Dumb luck, I was on their website at work and saw the deal. I figured it was time to get into the modern day and save some money on my electric bill. Okay, I'll swing by on my way home. I did not order them online, but the website said the store had them in stock. I printed out the sale price and SKU from the web, went to the store and loaded up my cart, went to checkout, rung up at the wrong price. I showed them the online advert. They said, no dice. I said, but you match prices. This is a Home Depot store. This is from the Home Depot website. The manager said, sorry, but the online store is different from the brick and mortar store. We don't match online prices. Okay, fine. So I put the light bulbs back on the shelf. I go to the contractor desk and hop on their computer. Go to the website, make an online purchase, have the pro desk print out my receipt, head out to the car and hang out for about 30 minutes. Come back in to pick up my light bulbs. The manager comes over and I show them the receipt for the pickup of the light bulbs. They ask, where is the cart that you had them in? I reply, I put them back on the shelf since you weren't going to sell them to me. So he gets someone to go get the bulbs off the shelf for me. The manager then says, you know, you could have just left them in the cart. I respond, and you could have honored the price when I first got here. It's not much, but it made me happy. Nice, OP. Nothing to say, but you're absolutely right. Thanks for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.